Hello, today we're going to be going over our probability quiz that we took yesterday. So our first problem was to find each probability as a fraction, then describe the likelihood of each outcome as certain, impossible, less likely, more likely, or equally likely. And you notice down at the bottom I've already put in a number line that will help us determine the likelihood. So Jake played a dart game at a carnival and won first place. He was asked to pick his prize from a bag that contained the names of these prizes. There were 4 caps, 3 baseballs, 2 pairs of sneakers, and 1 skateboard. So the first thing we need to do when we're determining the probability is to find the denominator. And you find the denominator by finding out what is the total number of items. So here you have 4 caps, you have 3 baseballs, 2 pairs of sneakers, and 1 skateboard. If you add them all together, you have a denominator of 10. Okay? Now, let's start with number 1. What is the probability of getting a baseball? So there are 3 baseballs, therefore, you put 3 as your numerator. Therefore, there is a 3/10 chance of getting a baseball. Now, since there's a 3/10 chance of getting a baseball, let's put 3/10 on the number line. Now notice, what is 1/2 with the denominator of 10? So if you have 1/2, you can change it to an equivalent fraction with the denominator of 10. And you do that by multiplying the top and the bottom by 5. So another way of saying 1/2 is 5/10. See if I can do that a little neater. Okay, so where would 3/10 lie on the number line? If 5/10 or 1/2 is right in the middle, where is 3/10? So you notice you start at 0, then we go 1/10, 2/10. All right, 3/10 be right here. So where does 3/10 lie in terms of likelihood? Well, you notice right down here, if it's less than 1/2 but greater than 0, then you have a less likely chance of getting it. So number 1, the answer is, for the fraction, you have a 3/10 probability of getting a baseball, and the likelihood, well, you're less likely to get it, okay? All right, let's move to the next one. So, what is the probability of getting a skateboard? Well, how many skateboards are there? There's only 1 skateboard. So your fraction is going to be 1/10. Where is 1/10 on the number line? Well, it is as close as you can get to 0 without being 0. It's still possible. You still can get a skateboard, but it's not very likely. You only have a 1 in 10 chances of getting it. You have a 1/10 chance of getting a skateboard. So your fraction would be 1/10, and your likelihood would still be less likely. Okay, so what is the probability of getting a baseball or a cap? So you are happy with either outcome. You are okay with getting a baseball or a cap. So what is the probability of getting a baseball or a cap? Well, first we need to, how many baseballs are there? There are 3 baseballs. And how many caps are there? There are 4 caps. So 4 plus 3 would be 7. So our fraction would be 7/10. Now let's put 7/10 on the number line. So 1/2, remember, is 5/10. So we can start from there. 5/10, 6/10, 7/10. All right, and notice, what likelihood is what on the number line shows what 7/10 is. If you said more likely, you are correct, because 7/10 is greater than 1/2, but less than 1, or 10/10, you are more likely to get a baseball or a cap. So, the answer would be 7/10. The likelihood of getting that is more likely. So you have a pretty good chance of getting either a baseball or a cap. So if that's what you want, you're in luck. Now, what is the probability of getting a football? Wait a second. There are 4 caps, 3 baseballs, 2 pairs of sneakers, and 1 skateboard. There are no footballs. So what's your likelihood of getting a football? A whopping 0. There are no footballs, 0 footballs, and 0/10 is just 0. So you have a 0 chance of getting it, which means it is impossible to get a football. All right, let's move to the next page. Okay, so we have dice, or actually singular version is die. And we want to know what is the likelihood of rolling a 4. Now first we need to determine the denominator. So if you roll 6-sided die, well, how many sides does it have? It has 6 sides, and it's got to land on one of those 6 sides. So your denominator is 6. Okay? And you want to roll a 4. That is your favorable outcome. You want lucky number 4 right here. Okay? So there is only one 4 out of 6 sides. So you have a 1 in 6 chance of rolling a 4. Your answer would be 1/6. All right, let's move on to the next page. So now, if you flip a coin, what is the probability that it will land on tails? So again, how many possible outcomes can you get? We want to determine our denominator first. Well, if you flip a coin, you're only ever going to get either heads or tails. So that gives you 2 possible outcomes, and you want to land on tails. That's one option. So you would have a 1/2 chance of getting tails. Pretty straightforward. Okay, now we have 3 marbles. If you select a marble without looking, what is the probability that it will be blue? Now, how many marbles do we have in total? That will be our denominator. We have 3. Pretty easy. You can just count 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So what is the probability that it will be blue? Well, you have 2 blue marbles, so your numerator is 2. You have a 2/3 chance of getting a blue marble, so your odds are actually pretty good for getting the blue marble. Okay, move to the next one. If you spin the spinner once, what is the probability that it will land on blue? Now, let's determine the denominator first. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sections in the spinner. So you have 6 possible outcomes, but you only want to spin blue. Blue takes up 1 section. So your fraction of your probability is you have a 1/6 chance of spinning and landing on blue. Okay, so now we have another spinner. If you spin the spinner once, what is the probability that it will not land on pink? So we just don't want pink, okay? So how many sections do we have? We have to always do the denominator first. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so again, 6 is our denominator. And we want all our favorable outcomes are all outcomes that are just not pink. How many sections are not pink? Well, you have all the rest are green. You only have 1 pink section, so you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so if you don't want pink, you're in luck. You have a 5/6 chance of getting green, so you are more likely to get green than pink. So good news for you if you wanted to get green. All right, now we have some more marbles. If you select a marble without looking, what is the probability that it will be, wait, green? What's the problem? There are only orange marbles. So you should have written your answer as a whole number here. You don't need to do a fraction. So what is the probability that it will be green? A great giant 0. Just like eating the football, you have no chance of getting a green marble because there are no green marbles. Okay, we have another spinner. What is the probability that it will land on pink? So let's find out how many sections we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have 8 sections. Okay? What is the probability it will land on pink? Well, how many pink sections are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you have 5 favorable outcomes out of total outcomes, which is 8. You have a 5/8 chance of landing on pink. So a pretty good chance of getting pink. If you select a marble without looking, what is the probability that it would be purple? Well, this is kind of like the coin toss because there's only 2 options. and you want purple, so you have one favorable outcome. You have a 1/2 chance of getting purple, but since there's only 2, you are equally as likely to get purple as you are pink. And that is all our probability. Let's go over our review questions. So number 1 was 65 times 18. So 65, we need to set it up. First thing you should do, and you should always have a scratch sheet of paper, set it up vertically. 16 times 18. All right, what is 5 times 8? 5 times 8 is 40, carry the 4, bring down the 0. 8 times 6 is 48. 48 plus 4, and if you're getting messed up on your carryovers, something you can do is you can just come over here on the side. 6 times 8 is 48, and then add the 4. If you need to do that, and you're having a hard time doing it in your head, go ahead and do that. Just make sure that you're not messing up your addition. So 8 plus 4 is 12. Carry the 1. 1 plus 4 is 5. So it's 52. All right, now most important thing is add the magic 0, because that is not a 1, it's a 10. You would not call a 10-year-old a 1-year-old. So you cannot call that 1 in the tens place just a normal 1. It is in the tens place, so it is 10. What is 1 times 5? 5. 1 times 6? 6. Add them all together. 0 plus 0 is 0. 2 plus 5 is 7. 5 plus 6, 11. So your answer is 1,170. All right. Moving on to the next one. Now, 800 times 7. Now, this one you should have been able to do in your head, because you just do 800 times 7 and you do the math back. What is 8 times 7? 8 times 7 is 56. Now, all you need to do is add the zeros. There's 1, 2 zeros. So 1, 2, 5,600. Okay. Now, division problem. You also needed to set this up vertically. So 5 goes into 6,595. How many times? All right, 5 goes into 6 one time. 1 times 5 is 5. 6 minus 5 is 1. Bring down the 5. Ooh. Bring down the 5. How many times does 5 go into 15? It goes into 15 evenly 3 times. So minus 15, 0. Bring down the 9. How many times does 5 go into 9? Only 1 time. 9 minus 5 is 4. Running out of room. Bring down the 5. How many times does 5 go into 45? It goes into it 9 times. Now, if I subtracted from 45, I would get 0. I'm just running out of room. Their answer is 1,319. No remainders. And you would have known that there was no remainders because this number ends in a 5. So remember our divisibility rules. If a number ends in 5, you know that 5 can go into that number, because 5 only goes into numbers that either end in 0 or end in 5. Right now, our fraction, 11 twelfths minus 5 sixths. And you cannot just subtract it as it is. You have to do something to 5 sixths. You need to make it equivalent so it has the same denominator as 12. So how do we get 6 to have a denominator of 12? Well, you need to multiply 6 by 2. You get 12. Whatever you do on the bottom of a fraction, you must do on the top. And so 5 times 2 is 10. Now we can do our equation. 11 twelfths minus 10 twelfths is 1/12. Can it be simplified? Anything that has 1 as the numerator can't be simplified, so no, 1/12 is as simple as you can get, and that is your answer.